My name is Julian Brown. I am the host and creator of Strange New Pod. We are a weekly live show on YouTube every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Check us out. I am going to give it to my panelists, starting over with Thad. If you guys go on the line, please, and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Thad. I'm from the Infinite Diversity Podcast on the VQN network.
VQN?
Yeah. We review new episodes of Star Trek with a different guest every time. And I know a lot about Star Trek, I guess.
You do, sure.
He knows a lot about Star Trek. My co-host knows a lot about Star Trek. My name is Joe Tubb. I'm the co-host of the Captain's Quadrant. Every Friday at 9 p.m. we look into the Agony booth, where we watch the harder to watch, those filler episodes that are extremely boring or very dumb. And we come back and we talk about the live Monoblock Fridays.
And my name is Cris. I am one of four hosts for the Big Sci-Fi podcast. And so we obviously talk a lot of Trek, but we try to look at all the different sci-fi. But everything, as we always say, goes back to Trek. I also do a YouTube channel called Yelling About Star Trek, where I break down Star Trek. And I do a lot of shorts, explainers on all the little nerdy things that you might want to know about.
There we go. Well, it is a blast to have you guys. I do want to point out very quickly that this panel was actually written by our co-host, Emcee. She was not able to come to the convention because of all of the, excuse my language, but bullshit going on at the border, and didn't feel comfortable coming. So this is her panel. We are going to try and do it as much justice as possible. So we are here doing Star Trek at the movies. Does Star Trek have a future on the big screen? So I don't know how many people know, but this December marks 46 years since Star Trek the Motion Picture debuted in theaters. And since then, we've had 14 Star Trek films, if you count Section 31, across...
It counts.
Do we count
Michelle Yeoh.
Do we count the motionless picture?
Yeah, we do. We do. Hey. No gatekeeping. It's so gatekeeping. I like it too. Despite all of the cultural impact that the movies have had on, I think, like, all of us, Star Trek on the big screen, its journey has been rocky. Pretty rocky. There's the whole curse of the odd number that we're about to get to. There's been critical success and good success and, some commercial success. We are going to zoom out and talk about Star Trek's place in pop culture and its long-standing cinematic challenges. So we're going to get to that. We are going to start with the Star Trek curse. The infamous even-numbered rule, the odd numbers tend to not be as good. The idea only that, the odd ones are just trash, which isn't necessarily true. With the benefit of that hindsight and 14 films and a half to assess, or 13 and a half, how well does the joke of the odd number movie curse hold up? And we'll just go down the line.
I mean, I feel like the second odd number movie already breaks the rule because Star Trek 3 is a decent movie.
That's like, yeah. I mean, Christopher Lloyd, my birthday brother. Yeah, right. You can't go wrong with Chris. I love Nemesis. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm a Nemesis.
Oh, you are? Probably. That's where we're friends. But is it even? Oh.
I enjoyed, just for the sole reason, we have the campfire scene, which is phenomenal. And I think we have one of the best jokes in Trek that I don't think people talk about enough, where it's like, I could use a shower. Yes. I think that's a brilliant answer. Sliver fitting. Not the fitting. I don't think it's a good movie, but I do enjoy it. Whereas I would say Search for Spock is actually pretty good. It's not the most amazing movie, but I would not call it a bad movie. I think there's a lot to love in it.
And 09 would be 11.
It would.
And that was fantastic. That's it. Yeah,
But you know what gets thrown in there a lot in the bad category that I don't agree with is Generations. I think that Generations has its flaws, but it's not a bad Star Trek movie by any means.
Yeah.
I would say the same for Insurrection.
No. That's okay. That's an Andy-Booth movie.
I don't know, but I think it's just kind of, it's there. They came. I remember one of the things I loved about the behind the scenes is that they're talking about the movie, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we loved being in the village." Gates McFadden talked about the camels, and yeah, it was their highlight. I thought it was that was all right. It was there.
The big argument with the insurrection that people tend to say when talking about the movie is that it feels more like an episode.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that
Broader than next gen ones.
I mean, First Contact, I go knows like hand in hand. Yeah, and Ron Khan is big. The poster boys.
Yeah. I mean, Star Trek Insurrection was so difficult to go through. When we went through the movies, my co-host fled to Egypt. So do you avoid? Oh, he's in the back, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Roy Gaston. I went fake with the Gaston Quadrant. Fled the country to avoid that.
If they're bad movies, the best way to watch them is to listen to them and do chores. Do iron, just do something, and then you can get some of the good parts out of it, but you're not forced to watch 2 hours of, what you're not enjoying.
Nice try, but I'm not rewatching Section 31.
Which is funny that you mentioned that because one of our amazing collective members, Beiju Pod, is one of the few people that entered our Section 31 giveaway, and she won it. So, yeah. No, we had like 3.
It's such a hard creation.
What'd you give away? A copy of Section 31 on Blu-ray.
So sorry. Yeah, I appreciate the actors. They tried. They tried their best, but it's a movie that I don't think I'll watch again unless I need to for something, which I never set up in a Trek movie.
Oh,
so it's, yeah.
But that guy burned up pretty cool. Like that was the Data No character.
Oh, Data.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was cool.
You know what's an even number now with, well, I guess it's always the even number, but I believe Beyond is 13. And Beyond is, it took me a while to warm up to Star Trek Beyond, but once I did, it's a really good Trek film.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about money.
Oh,
Because,
yes, please.
because, no. Dude, come on. Listen, I think it's no secret that Star Trek has never been a massive box office, like mega monster, like Marvel and Star Wars. It's never that. It probably will never be that. Gonna give you the rundown here. Highest grossing Star Trek film, and some people might boo at this. I happen to love this movie. Sue me.
Me too.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
I love it. I watch it. You ready? I'm supposed to.
467 million for Star Trek Into Darkness. Followed directly by Star Trek 2009 at $385. Sorry, $385. That would be terrible. $1 billion. And Star Trek Beyond. So the Kelvin verse movies are the highest grossing right there.
Is that because of inflation?
No, I think it's just that they were like they had J.J. Abrams.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the most successful.
I was the best field of fan.
You know, Justin Lin directed Star Trek Beyond.
It was the first movie. 2009 was the first time I'd ever seen a Star Trek's movie poster in a public area. I was in New York. They were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, Moveback's like done it. We're finally there.
I was alive when Star Trek 6 was out. I just remember seeing those all over the place.
Yep. So that came in at 343 million, and then out of the TNG / TOS films, First Contact, 146 million at the lower end, and we won't go through all of this. Is the last one. Nemesis being the Last Generations movie, 67 million. That's like pretty bad.
Yeah, that's
That is for marketing budget.
Yeah. So, this does raise the big question, which I had mentioned at the top of this: does Star Trek need to compete at that Star Wars Marvel level, or can it be okay, kind of floating in this like $500 million lower range, intake?
Well, the problem is the lower range movies don't exist like they used to.
No, they don't.
A lot of it's just the disappearance of the home video market, which, I mean, yes, I'm sure many people here will say, well, I buy Blu-rays, and that might be true, but for
the most part, people are not buying Blu-rays.
Or DVDs,
Yeah.
has meant that a lot of movies that wouldn't necessarily make back enough money in the theaters, but would with the home video release, just aren't feasible anymore. So I think if Star Trek is to continue the movies, they have to be blockbusters.
Yeah, it's going. That's it.
Yeah, I thought that the setup with the Section 31 movie was going to be the doorway into a whole new generation of direct-to-stream movies. And I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to name one of my interview shows Section 31 and a half. This is going to be gangbusters for us. And it did not. So I thought maybe that was going to be the change, but I think in order to compete with the blockbusters, they have to be budget smart and market friendly. So what I mean by that, and what you may realize, is they have to spend a lot of time more on the marketing, so much as what they're spending on CGI.
They have like get asses in seats.
They get asses.
You have to have like what Tom Cruise has been doing.
Right.
And like getting around.
They're gonna have to get Tom Cruise in Star Trek.
let's just get
Let's just Mission Impossible Star Trek.
He's actually gonna go to space. He's gonna ride in the snow.
He'll do it, and then he'll run. Instead of run off fear.
It's just this is a hard one because they need them. I think at best they could probably just keep doing more movies direct to streaming, which would be okay. I want them to get to the point where they compete with Star Wars, but I don't quite think it's there. I think we're struggling.
Yeah.
I'm hoping one day we'll get back. There was a time before 2009 I thought we're never going to see any Star Trek movies ever, and then 2009 came out, revitalized the franchise. So I think we need something like that at the most. Maybe a Star Trek 4. Help. Yeah, they ever get that off the ground and get Chris Hemsworth back, who now is a mega blockbuster. Mega star.
Well,
He's a mega blockbuster sort of.
yeah. I mean, what was that movie that he was in that flopped? The Furiosa.
Oh,
yeah. So there maybe skill in there.
Apparently, it was a good movie, but that still I think was around a time where people were like maybe not going to movies.
Yeah. But I mean, even Marvel's not doing numbers that it did.
Yeah, Super Bowls did pretty well, I think.
Dynamite did well, but Captain America did not do well. Now Julian was that's
because it's a great movie.
It's capacity. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the best, but definitely right direction.
Yes.
But you brought up Star Trek 4, Chris, and we're gonna get into that because it has become one of the many redheaded stepchilds of the Star Trek franchise right now. Paramount announced Star Trek 4 without letting any production team or any of the cast know that it was happening to boost their numbers. Now it's in limbo again, though I think apparently has a writer. But it has been in that limbo since Star Trek Beyond underperformed. And I am actually going to read a little something here from Emcee, who wrote this because she wanted to have a rant. So I will be Emcee for a second.
All right, we're auditing you. Close your eye, everybody.
All right, close your eye. Can't do the whole close your eyes.
Use the voice, though.
The marketing was so minimal that Beyond didn't even get a novelization. Okay, so many of these films get a novelization. Promotion relied heavily on the cast social media. We're talking about actually getting the cast out there, but not just through social media. And it was the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and they did nothing for it. It lost Best Makeup Oscar to the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
To be fair, the makeup was the only good part of the Suicide Squad.
You could add a little bit more to this. The loss of Anton Yelchin, him, not having Chekhov return. I know Chris Pine was really stuck on him not being able to come back. That cast and crew were really close. And then we were talking about how the cast wasn't even informed that they greenlit the film. Failed negotiations with Chris Hemsworth, who is Thor for life now. And he was going to return as George Kirk. As of March 2024, it was reported that Steve Yoki, who did The Flight Attendant and Supernatural, is working out a new script, but 4 different writers have been attached to the film. Not a good sign, but with everything going on, and I think this is down here in the panel a little bit later, with the ongoing negotiations between Paramount and Skydance is partially responsible for putting out the Kelvin Burst films. Should they finally pull the trigger on Star Trek 4?
Well, I don't think they will until that
Voyager happens.
And who knows if that's going to happen at this point with the political angle there.
Yeah, true.
We're going to pay him off. They know he likes money. They just here you go. And then that will be solved. I think they're going to wait till Skydance does it. And I think we may get a shock and have JJ come back and direct her.
Okay, hold on. This is good for the audience. Raise your hand if you want JJ Abrams to come back.
Thank you.
Mission Impossible.
And if you don't, so the problem with J.J. Abrams coming back is when J.J. Abrams comes back, you get things like Rise of Skywalker.
I don't think that was it. I say that was Ryan Johnson. Oh, but amazing. That guy's so amazing. I hate his laugh. I can't stand for shit. You want to hear me rant? Ask me how I feel about
We should do a show on that.
Yeah, we should all would fail that. Yeah.
Joe, did we talk about this yet? Yeah. Do you think they should pull the trigger? Yeah, you said.
DJs. I call talking this. Yeah, I got the duties. Yeah.
Chris, what about you?
I see, yeah. Make it happen. You mean pull the trigger and make it happen.
Get it done. Get it done.
I'll do it. And I'll be Kurt.
Follow up to this. Do you think that it should be like a swan song for that crew, and then maybe not show up again, or maybe like a full revitalization of the Calvinverse?
I think it has to be a swan song. Those actors at this point are basically the age of the TOS actors in the TOS movies. Yeah. So you can't. What? You can't.
Well, it is true.
Yeah, you can't look at Chris Pine and say this is a young cat.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that hurts. I already shaved my head because I look great. Anyway, it has to be a swan song and it has to be a passing of the torch. I think if Paramount continues the 5-series only or 5-season only Star Trek, I think they need to pass the baton to Strange New Worlds. I mean, that would be great for you guys. You guys did the right thing and made your podcast Strange New Worlds. Thank you. I'm over. That's Quadrant to be great. Anyway, yeah, I think they would have to pass the baton because it's a legacy that continues indefinitely, just like Doctor Who, just like Star Wars has become. But it's kind of the precursor to everything else. If it wasn't for Star Trek, there wouldn't be Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then because of Star Wars being successful, there wouldn't be a return to Star Trek.
Is he back growing?
As to the Hemsworth issue and Perpetual 4, I think it's feasible to just do it with his brother.
Oh yeah, Liam would do a great job.
Yeah,
He could do it. Yeah.
just roll the dice and move on with whatever that story was. As on paper, that's story. Cool.
The only problem with Liam doing it is just to follow up on that, because I do think it's actually a great idea, is that he caught so much crap for taking over for Henry Cavill in The Witcher. Like, does he want to go through that again? Do you know what I mean? Like the backlash from the fandom theoretically.
It's possible, but it's not that much of a stretch. Because
It's not. I agree.
the G's are right there.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Right. Hines says that he's eager to play an old Gepsh Kirk.
Yeah.
So I think he really does want to push for it, and then I think they want to be done because I mean, and all that other kind of stuff. But I think there's some groundswell at the studio to try and get it done, but that means in the budget, right? So the question was, does Star Trek need to be a blockbuster in order to make money, right? And I don't think it does. And the example I use for that is, honest to God, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. They released Ghost Rider in February and March, and it made money hand over fist because there was no other action adventure movie in the theaters at that time. It was all romantic comedies. So
It doesn't need to be that summer release date.
Yeah. So that was the only one to go see. So let's go see a Star Trek movie when it's not summertime or Christmas time or a holiday weekend, off programming, and I think it'll make money. The other thing about budget is that Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan is proof you don't have to have a whole lot of money to make a good movie.
It's a great
Right.
movie.
Yeah, that's true. Shin does it. What was it? That last Godzilla? The -0? -1. Yeah, that's a great playthrough. You don't need a lot of money.
It's Section 31, and either you like it or you don't. Their heart was in the right place. The timing was bad. There was so much bad with it, but it says Star Trek on it, so it's in my collection.
Well, listen. I hate it, and it's in my collection too. And I think that we could all sit here and say that we hate it,
No.
but the streaming numbers aren't lying either. People are watching it, so people like it.
Yeah, and I think it was meant to be a pilot originally.
Yeah.
It feels like a pilot.
Yeah.
It's like they're just an unfortunate
Four or 5
situation.
episodes now.
Yeah.
My last point is, I think Star Trek 5 deserves another chance. It just needs better.
Well, it's not the worst Star Trek movie anymore.
Yeah, Campfire is one of the best. I think Campfire Tea has one of the best teas in the franchise. I go on and on about that. Not a good.
Thank you for all that. That was
thank
really
you.
good, by the way. I see you in the back. I'm going to get to you in one second. I just want to let Chris answer about whether they should finally pull the trigger and have it be a swan song.
I think they should have a BS1 song. I do wonder how that'll work, because I don't think you can tie it to Strange New Worlds just because there's like it's meant to be a different universe. But yeah, I would say it's one song. Give them one final mission to help say goodbye and just wrap things up. But
Close the loop, and then you can have Strange New Worlds be the catalyst to close the time loop.
oh, that'd be interesting.
You're welcome, man.
Like two quick things. Number one, to the finances. Even though the Kelvin vs. movies made a buttload of money, they also cost a buttload of money.
They did.
So they were actually not as financially successful as even the next gen movies, which didn't help them to survive. And other comment, what hurts the movies more than anything else is as Trekkies, our insistence on the story. Because Star Wars, Marvel, DC, they're all about good versus evil. And that's easy to do in 2.5 hours. Whereas Star Trek, we want to see the development of a story. And when you're starting out with a fresh cast that you have to introduce, that just adds to the issues. So, I mean, and then nowadays, the way Hollywood is, the way the money is in the entertainment industry, needing to see all those big numbers, you're not going to have an audience other than us who wants to sit and watch a story develop for 2.5 hours and see it conclude without a, next time. So that's just gonna, it hurts us that we're so into
It's a great point.
we're so cerebral.
Yeah.
You can always bring your board though. Sorry? You can always bring us on.
Yeah, but Picard brought the board back, and I thought they did it well. But like, even I'm like, okay, let's leave the board alone. I think that. I wanna talk about. So I am gonna try and have time for a Q&A in the back. It's why I have a few more things to get to, but I do see you in the back there. Okay. I want to talk about a film that will never see the light of day, but was rumored to be happening for a while. And we have to mention Quentin Tarantino's infamous idea, a Kelvin-verse remake of a piece of the action from TOS. And ignore the alternate timeline setup completely. It's dead now. Tarantino have confirmed this is never going to happen. But people do bring it up. It happens in conversation. Did anyone actually want this?
I like Tarantino films. I like Star Trek films. I do not think these are too great tastes to take a straight to.
Are you sure you don't want a GIMP in Star Trek? I mean,
Bring on the gear.
I think it would be a very daring approach to do something extremely different if they did go with a Tarantino. I agree with Jason back there and the other person that raised their hand. I did want a Tarantino. I was like, oh, that could be weird, just as long as he leaves the feet thing out. But I did want, I really wanted a Tarantino movie because it would probably do very well. Imagine the phasers actually like obliterating somebody. You could see pieces of nipple. It'd be very cool. It would be awesome. That's my take.
I would be mostly interested just because I'd be curious. I like his movies. I love his dialogue. His dialogue's amazing. But I would have to, I don't know how I would do this. I'd want to see, okay, where are the gory parts going to be? And then I just close my eyes because I don't want to be scarred. But I think ultimately it would be interesting. Just like if we didn't like it, it's fine. We already have a ton of Trekkies we don't like.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun.
But if we're naked past the earbug scene from Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction is in like my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I love Pulp Fiction. I love Inglourious Bastards. If Tarantino was gonna do Trep, I think his only option would be a piece of the action. Like, I don't think that you could just put Tarantino in the Star Trek universe and say, go play. I think it could be a disaster. But if you do a very like crazy story like a piece of the action already is with gangsters and, it works, I think. And I mean, TOS also did a few Nazi stories and, Tarantino likes blowing up Nazis. So, I mean, I think there's minimal options, but it could work. Do I need it at the end of the day? No. There's another Kelvin-verse prequel out there that is maybe in development, maybe not. In January 2024, Deadline recorded that Toby Haynes from Andor, or Haynes, sorry, would direct a prequel to the Kelvin-verse movies written by Seth Grahame-Smith, who did Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. It's supposedly set decades before 2009, And I think like the easiest question I would ask isn't this just Enterprise?
This is Enterprise.
Been a long road singing.
We're not gonna do the whole song on there, yeah. But I would. Maybe I would.
But yeah, it's just Enterprise, right?
That's even before the timeline changes, so it's not really the Kelvin verse.
Yeah.
Right. I guess. Yeah.
Also, I was saying the same thing. It's just like, well, that's just Enterprise.
It's just Enterprise.
I don't know how you would do a prequel and have it not be just mainline trash.
The one thing I'll say here is, what story is there to tell here? And I think if there is one that's in Enterprise that we've never seen before, it's the Earth Romulan War.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Or get the real speech instead of computer and program.
No Riker Chef Holiday, but no Riker Chef Holiday. Oh, no. We need the real chef.
There we go.
And I do want to ask you guys, because I don't think we asked for it. I almost don't think that some guy in a suit asked for it. Who asked for a prequel to the Kelvin verse that would just be Enterprise? Like,
Who asked
I'm curious where you guys think this idea came from.
Hollywood loves prequels.
Yeah.
They do love prequels. Yeah, look at all the Hunger Games.
Yeah. Oh, is it the Storages? I want to watch it, but I have not.
Is there Harry Potter a prequel or what's going
New Harry Potter is just gonna be
remake?
Potter again.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's nice.
still with J.K. Rowling.
Oh, God.
They did do those terrible prequel movies, though. The fantastic.
They were horrible. Yeah.
Nope.
I'll just say I keep thinking you're gonna say it. Sorry. Finally, and this is a weird one. Star Trek Picard Season 3 reignited interest in the TNG crew. It was a fantastic season. At the first announcement, I believe it was at SDCC, or it was actually, I believe it was at the panel at New York Comic Con. Can you guys correct me who were at New York Comic Con that year? I think some of us were there together.
I was there.
Both Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes both have said that there was maybe a TNG film in development, which is kind of crazy to me. After the send-off in Picard, which was, in my humble opinion, beautiful, is there more story to tell with this crew?
Star Trek Legacies.
Yeah, but Legacy isn't about the TNG crew. It was
No, but they could come in and be like, hey, I see you're using that destructor. Let me show you how to use it properly. You know, like a shitty, let me train the next generation type of thing. Like the next generation. Wasn't that an episode?
that was a Lower Decks episode.
The next generation, yeah. See?
Everybody said I would say, here's how I feel about it. I love Picard. Picard is my diehard captain. I love them to death. I do not need to see more TNG. If they showed up in Legacy as just like, oh, maybe they'll come in and come out, that would be amazing. But I don't need another TNG movie because they nailed it. They did what they had to do. And I think it's time to, if we're gonna do a movie, have new people.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, Sarah?
Stuff don't agree. Yeah. Speaking of new people, let's move on from TNG to New Trek and Lower Decks. Because who loves Lower Decks here? Lower Decks! Lower Decks! Lower Decks! Lower Decks! Oh, we are definitely among family here. With the very unfortunate cancellation of Lower Decks, all of us have rallied for a Lower Decks feature film. Mike McMahon says he has ideas already. Do we want this?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
I don't think it would not be a theater movie, though. That would absolutely be a straight shit.
God, wouldn't it be great if it was, though?
It would, but I don't think that would ever.
Wouldn't it be great if it did come out and we actually all went to see it and supported it, and then we were like, oh shoot, maybe we should have canceled it.
I mean, that's the dream, right? It is. Like, they brought Prodigy back. Well, they didn't bring Prodigy back, but they got it on a network. Lower Decks could be a Simpsons. It could be a Family Guy. It could be a show that just keeps going and going and going and going and going. There are infinite stories to tell in that side.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would a good animated Star Trek movie look like? That's a bit of a loaded question.
Well, yeah, obviously Lower Decks is the easy answer, but I don't know, like a 3D animated, like in sort of like Prodigy or other things like that, I think could be cool.
Yeah.
Also, you could do like, just imagine this, like they do a like 25th century set and 3D animated movie. They bring back everybody Like, I'm not talking PMG, I'm talking DS9, I'm talking Voyager. Bring a whole ensemble cast back as voice actors. That could be just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a hand up in the back.
I'm gonna get to a Q&A. Oh well, okay, all right. Right now, go ahead.
Okay,
It's only because it's you.
What Star Trek needs as a feature film is to do what Star Wars Visions is doing.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And just get an anthology you be done by masters of animation. Tell them no continuity, no nothing, tell a Star Trek story, and that's it.
I love that. That's a very good clip. You love that. Let's talk about something that just came to light very recently. April 2024, Sinequa Martin Green shared that a Discovery movie was pitched for the finale, but it was denied.
All the way on is
They wouldn't let them finish the story properly. They were given that very small budget to do the reshoots that not all the cast could show up to. I realize this is a very stupid question, but was this the right call?
no. I mean, we're talking movie, like, theatrical movies for Discovery, I think would not have been a good call, but if they had done it as a streaming movie to end the show, then yes, that would have been much better than the tacked on epilogue that we got.
Oh, dang, that tapped an epilogue. That kind of brings you back.
I love that type of.
Yeah, I do. When she goes way out with the ship
I don't direct.
and it connects into the short trek. Oh, man, that was beautiful. Yeah. But what a movie, a Discovery movie. I think a Discovery movie would work if something catastrophic were to happen that required something even bigger than that cast.
Yeah.
And what I mean is they would have to somehow unite with Spock and the Strange. I can bring it up Strange New Worlds, but
But if you're going to go to the new franchises on the big screen, I think that cast hurts. Worlds if we
yeah. And you'd have to kill off some people that aren't in.
you have to kill off people who don't have plot armor.
Yeah. A lot of death.
Yeah, I would say, Strange New Worlds, I think, would be an amazing movie. I feel like if they were to do Discovery, it would have to be a streaming movie. I don't think it would be able to bring in the numbers for the theatrical. And then Paramount would say, oh, well, it didn't perform well, so we're not going to do any more Discovery.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's unfair. But yeah, definitely a streaming movie.
I know we've kind of talked about it off and on throughout the panel, but we got to not sugarcoat it. So the Section 31 has been very poorly received. It certainly holds the lowest rating of any Trek movie. That's not just from the critics, that's from the audience Rotten Tomatoes score as well. Not that there hasn't been a ton of review bombing, which is awful.
Yeah.
Don't do it if you're that person. Do you think with how poorly Section 31 was received, it does? I mean, the whole point of this panel is asking, does Star Trek have a future on the silver screen or in streaming films? Does it put the future of any Trek films, big screen or streaming, in jeopardy?
I don't know that it affects big screen films, because I think they'll see that as a different animal. I do worry that it means we'll not get another streaming film, unfortunately, because if they make a good one, we'll like it, we'll watch it, it'll do well. They just have to make a good one.
I think
We'll get a Q&A. All right, Macy.
I think that it does a disservice to the fandom to kind of not really spend time to really hammer off all the details. I think the rush was in because Michelle Yeoh was probably getting more and more expensive the more goals she got doing movies. And the Emmys, the Oscars that she was getting just kind of made her probably so heavy part of the budget. And since she was the catalyst for the entire storyline there, I think it kind of threw it all off. However, we don't have to go into the Michelle Yeoh verse to do Section 31 because we do have Section 31 throughout the history of Trek. So I think if they just went back and did a different storyline and maybe
It's the sheer movie?
Exactly. I was kidding there. God, no. But yeah, no, I think if they just went back and I'm going to put my hand here. Good move. If they just went back and and just kind of did another time period, I think we would have been fine. And they just really need to focus on what Trek is known for, and that's great captain speeches, which you can check out. No, okay. But you're like good at that. Yeah, I'm good at that, but I'm holding back for you.
You don't have to.
Oh, okay. So at the Squadron, we have shorts, the greatest Star Trek captain speeches, hence the name Captain's Quadrant. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say for feature films in the theater, I don't think it's impacted it. I think, unfortunately, it was Beyond. When Beyond didn't perform, Paramount was like, "Hey, we're not really seeing the value in it." But I do think the panel's right that, yeah, it's probably put the streaming movies in jeopardy. I don't know if they're gonna want to do more just because of how badly that was received. But I really want to emphasize that I really don't think it was the team's fault. I think they all tried to do a good job, but it just unfortunately did not work out.
Yeah.
What was your reaction? What? No, I'm gonna ask him because we didn't do an answer.
No, I want a Bashir movie. I just want Stein to come back. That's everybody.
I love the assigned my favorite. To say what you're talking about though, I don't think that it puts it in jeopardy because, like I said earlier, the streaming numbers don't lie. It's being streamed, but it's being streamed a lot, and they're still advertising it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's doing something.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think if you really want to look at it, Skydance makes movies first. They don't do television, and if they end up buying Paramount like they've been trying to do for the past year, I think Trek has a big resurgence on the silver screen. I really do. Listen, it has its ups and downs. It could go anywhere. I think this conversation is far from over, and I know a lot of you have ideas and want to talk about it. So I wanted to open up to the floor. I think I had someone in the back first. I think then you. Did somebody have a question in the back a few moments ago?
I would love the Cisco movie, like him, The Return. I know he won't come back because he retired.
And also, can Cisco apologize for not saying goodbye to his son?
Can he stop being a deadbeat dad, please? I love Cisco, my favorite captain.
He's a bad god. He's he's the boss, and he's
Everybody, just give a round of applause for the person that just said, "What about voice?"
I don't think you're gonna like my answer.
Uh-oh.
Outrageous. I love DS9 with all my heart. It's my favorite Star Trek. Cisco is my favorite captain, but Avery Brooks has retired from acting. We haven't seen or heard from him in decades. I don't think that he is able to. He doesn't want to do that. I think for him the story is told. Would I like a Cisco story? Well, I talked to someone at this convention yesterday, and they brought up a very unique idea. And that would be Cisco Who. Like Cisco Doctor Who. You were talking about how his dad got him.
Yeah, dead guys.
It's like an infinite being. He could be anywhere.
There you go.
So you cast a younger actor to play him, and you maybe do a series. I don't think you could do a movie, but I think it could be a cool, timey-wimey Doctor Who space rock, So
He's a prophet. He can be anybody.
Yeah,
exactly.
he is the Cisco.
Oh, sorry. You had it. Sorry. You and then you. Yep.
Well,
You had it.
Right.
Yeah.
my complaint is, and you guys as podcasters, I'd like to know, because you get to hear from every darn body. What do Trekkies want in a movie? And that's the problem. If it's not gonna make money, nobody's gonna do anything for it. I was very disappointed with the Section 31. I think I know what they were trying to do, but that one wants her father's Trek. This one wants something else. We want something else.
Trekkies have opinions.
I don't think we know.
So how am I gonna get something that's gonna make money? So they go, hey, guess what? This would make money. Let's do it again.
I think what if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
Yeah. I think what needs to happen is us as fans need to not be so picky. I know it's simple. I know that's extremely simple. But we have to stop being so picky. It's kind of like certain Star Wars. I love the Acolyte. I'm not gonna lie.
Apple was the Alkaline.
I was super upset.
Keep campaigning for season 2.
Yeah, I was so upset that people didn't receive it. Those lightsaber battles were incredible.
Arguably, the Acolyte had the best lightsaber fights in the
Franchise, yeah. Because that guy was doing stuff that I've never seen where he'd turn off a saber, turn it back on, stab. But I think the problem is that people just want to get their voices heard and nothing else matters but their own saying. And I think if we just put our differences aside, which is kind of a Star Trek thing,
100%.
put our differences aside and just let it be, we'll get something good. We can, say, it'll be better if you do this. That's fine. But if you go, no, I'm not going to see this because that's there, that doesn't help. And it just puts our franchise into darkness.
Oh, well, that was well.
I Thank you.
This is such a hard question because I just don't think we know what we want. Or we know what we want, but then if we get it, it's not going to be what we want. So I think it's really like we just have to as my pals are saying, we just have to go and see the movie. Like, I always bring this up. I love this. My wife started making fish. I hate fish. I now like the fish that she makes. And if I had said I don't want anything to do with it and didn't give it a try, I would have realized that actually, if you season fish properly, it's pretty good. So I just feel like, we're not the ones to say, oh, here's what they should do. Obviously, we had this as a fun discussion, but I think ultimately, we should just give it a chance. If they put on a movie, we go see it, we comment on it, and we know. Maybe we'll see a movie that we think is going to be terrible, and it ends up being one of the best things.
Lower your expectations. That's what I told my wife, and we got married.
Oh, no. I just want to say I have the reputation on the podcast of being this person who loves everything, and I maybe get a little bit annoyed at my co-hosts sometimes when they don't like something, because I love Star Trek.
Same.
Honestly, the only Star Trek that I think that I've really spoken ill about is Section 31, and it takes a lot for me to say bad things about Star Trek. Been watching it since I was in diapers. I love TNG era. I love the JJ films, and I love all of New Trek. Okay? I am that person. So if you put a Star Trek movie on the big screen for me, I am going to go see it 8 times like I went and saw First Contact 8 times. I will do it. I will be that guy who brings in the money. So just give me Star Trek. I am not picky. I saw, I believe, was you over here, and then yeah, Tara. Yeah, you first.
It kind of goes against what we're saying now, but I always love the idea of a story of Curzon and Cisco. There's so much there that I don't know if there's been books written about it, but I always wanted to know more about that story. It's a little neat, but
That'd be a cool TV show. Betty Curzon. Like a cop buddy show? Yeah, there we go.
I was talking to the person who wrote the autobiography of Ben Cisco, and he said that was in work. He was able to.
That's really.
He's a great dude, yeah. Yeah, he's very cool.
Sarah?
I remember, I think piggyback on what you said, I think we as fans, I can stand up?
You can, yeah.
I think we as fans have to get out of our own way. Because we, as fans, we are very tribal. Mm-hmm. And if you're a Trekkie or a Trekker, and you plant your flag in the sand, and I remember, because I'm that old, when TNG first dropped. Oh my God!
I was there.
Sacrilege! But now look where TNG is now. And I think we have to get out of our own way. Like Section 31 is an example. Did not like Section 31, but I speak to friends in my office. They're like, oh, is this what Star Trek is like? No. I saw Section 31 and I have to grit my teeth and like, yes. We should try these other things. We have to let new people into our little tribe. Yeah. And if Section 31 is going to be it, great. If something else is going to be it, great. We have to just get out of our own way, let the new fans come in, because new fans, more money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The actor who played that character in Harmony, he said that it was designed that way to bring in the new people.
Yeah. You and then you. I don't know actually who was first. I'm sorry. Yeah, with the hat.
The guy with the hat.
The good hat.
Dan.
I just think kind of piggyback off. You have to make it accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to create these compelling characters and stories from the get-go. People are already kind of now it's like instant. I gotta get hooked, or else I'm not gonna get into it. So you need a good pilot. So, for example, with my wife, she's never did Star Trek, so I got her into Lower Decks, and then I jumped from there to Strange New Worlds and speaking with huge fans of that, because it's easier with Strange New Worlds. It's like you jump in, it's almost like you're watching from the beginning. Not really, but you are kind of watching from the beginning. And then from there, you can just kind of like a ripple effect and go into it. And so, if you can create a project that can speak to somebody on an emotional level, right? And not just get bogged down to lore, that would bring people into. Because at the end of the day, it is a business. They want to make profit, right? So in order to do that, we have to make it accessible. You can't make it too lore heavy.
I agree with that.
That's basically what
Paramount's going to, they want them.
I mean, I have to say, I know some of the complaints with Strange New Worlds is that it's too vanilla, right? It doesn't have like deep storytelling. But for me personally, if I want deep storytelling, I'll go watch Discovery, or I'll even watch Prodigy. Prodigy is really freaking deep, guys. But I'll go watch other Trek for that. I love Strange New Worlds because I can go and sit down in front of my screen for 50 minutes and be out of it and laugh and have fun. And I mean, listen, Elysian Kingdom, I cannot watch that episode without crying every single time. So if you want your emotional depth, those episodes are there too. And I think that Strange New World is the standard bearer for Trek right now. And I think, as I said earlier, I think that's the best way to get back on the big screen. You put Anson Mount and that entire cast, I think people are going to go to the movies because those episodes aren't lore heavy and they don't need to be. So that's a great point. Yes, please.
Yeah. We were just talking about the new, bringing in new people, but I'm going to regress slightly on that. I came in a little late to this forum, but how about bringing back William Shatner in the track? I mean, he was in a recent short film that they brought him back, kind of reuniting.
But that was a creepy, like, uncanny valley.
Yeah, Shatner wasn't actually in that.
No. Well, it was a really good makeup job by Liz and CGI. And CGI, yeah. But I understand what you're saying. Like, having Shatner back would, I mean, like I said, he's 93. He's in great shape and he's rocking and his mind's there, but he's still 93. So he'd be extremely limited in the amount of role he could do. So I feel he would kind of do a disservice. Now, if you put Sam Witwer in the Shatner makeup and do it, maybe that could work. I think that wouldn't be for that deal. Just kind of like copy what they did for that short, which was called Unification.
Yeah, 6, 8, 5, 9 or something.
3 Ocean Jenner.
Did you guys know like that?
Oh, I was just gonna say with Shatner, what's that thing that he said like a couple months ago that he had been in talks with Paramount about something?
Yes.
That never really came anywhere, but who knows? Maybe there is actually something coming.
But okay, if this is it about? Yeah, go ahead.
I'd also talk about Leonard. He went to outer space. It's the only really did.
Yeah.
I see him in the forums with Neil Tyson DeVries. You make your store buffer movie. Very witty guy. He keep talking. I think he is the essence of what made us love Star Trek to begin with. It'd be nice to see him back in some way, and I think it would bring back to not just the older fans, but I think you fans could also be inspired by the right story. We have to have a good story.
So true. Let me ask you a question. Back. Do you want William Shatner back in Star Trek, or do you want Captain Kirk back in Star Trek? Because if you want Captain Kirk back in Star Trek, Chris Pine and Paul Wesley are both doing great in the role.
Yeah.
I think William Shatner, God, 55 years, I think his time has come and gone.
Yeah, I have to see him back in some way.
I got one more question in the back. I'll try and get to you, Takako. Okay, yeah.
About that, you mentioned that Star Trek is not on the level of Marvel was Star.
Yes.
And then later on, you said Marvel wasn't get the high numbers either. They stopped doing that. Star Wars 2 had its share of bumpers. The last trilogy on screen didn't go well. It might have been okay, but it wasn't as good as the first trilogy. And
But it still made billions.
oh, they did kind of like yeah. It did the negative abilities, but it also had like as far as storytelling, not the greatest.
Last Strata is an amazing film. I'll die on that hill.
You just made a friend with my co-host. Thanks.
Takako.
I'm wondering, as far as this question about, whether like a Star Trek TV series or TV movie or a theatrical film would work or not. I think very much goes back to what story are you trying to tell? Because in the written form, there's short stories, there's novellas, there's novels, there's series of novels, and there are some stories that are just best told as a short story. And then there are others that require multiple books to tell. And so really doesn't it really get down to the question, it goes down to the question of, well, what story are you trying to tell? And what length or what form or of story do you need to use?
It's like whether to do a trilogy or not, or
right, because I think Section 31 would have been, I think I would have been more like emotionally attached to certain characters if it hadn't yet taken time that a series would have allowed for me to get the gut punch at the end. Because I could tell at the end I'm supposed to feel a gut punch, but I didn't because I didn't know enough about what's the guy's name?
You mean the guy you don't remember in that movie?
Exactly.
I only remember Bad I Know because I interviewed him. That's
The weird romantic interest that's just been a romantic.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we had known about him, if we had gotten to know him better, I think we would have felt the gut punch. Yeah.
Anybody want to touch on that? Really?
You're right. We're supposed to care. I think that was the thing about the movie is we're supposed to think it's really cool. We're supposed to care about the characters, but because it's just that one movie, we didn't get that. And I felt like it's just an unfortunate situation where they were really trying to make this a series, and this was meant to be a pilot. And it just didn't work out. But yeah, I think if we had one more movie, maybe two more, we might feel differently about that story.
I think this was the exact example of this story really required multiple hours to tell, but we only had 1.5. And that's what you get.
I agree.
I know that we could keep going on and on about this. I'm already a minute over, so I really do have to wrap it up. Thank you all for coming. This is a great conversation.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Joy.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.